Hi, my name is Caleb B. Wilson. I believe that Jesus is the Jewish Messiah according to Jewish standards. Wait, what? Oh, sorry. Yes, it was not facing the right way. Hi, my name is Caleb B. Wilson. I believe that Jesus is the Jewish Messiah. Why are you looking at me like that? I believe that Jesus is the Jewish Messiah according to Jewish standards. And today we're going to be reacting to a letter that the FBI put out cautioning Jews in America to watch themselves. If you please consider to subscribe to my channel, I do make a lot of content educating people about the Jewishness of Jesus, and so every subscription really helps. First things first, I want to announce what we had talked about last week, which is our Let's Talk About It series. And our first episode is going to be airing on June 13th, which is this Friday. Super excited about it. We go over our first series, which is reacting to and talking about Focus Press. Now, for those of you who have been on this channel for a while, you guys know that I've had my interesting run-in with Focus Press. Bro, this effeminate energy has to stop. I have invited them many, many times to come on the channel, and we'll talk a little bit more about that on our Let's Talk About It series, but I invited them many times to come on channel and talk, and they haven't come on the channel, so we're going to talk about them. So you guys should definitely be ready when that drops on Friday, 6 p.m. CST. It's going to be a great series. Okay, so we're going to be reacting to this public service announcement. Now, this comes after the event that happened in Boulder, Colorado, where there was a attack, and this article will actually talk about it. So this is put out by the FBI. So summary, the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Department of Homeland Security are issuing this public service announcement to highlight potential public safety concerns related to ongoing threats to Jewish and Israeli communities. On June 1st, 2025, an individual approached several people at a pro-Israel gathering in Boulder, Colorado, and threw 2 Molotov cocktails at the group, injuring at least 9 people. This attack followed a separate attack in late 2025 of May, in which an individual shot and killed 2 Israeli embassy staffers after they attended an event at the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. The Capitol Jewish Museum attacker allegedly cited Israel's treatment of the Palestinian people when taken into custody. The ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict may motivate other violent extremists and hate crime perpetrators with similar grievances to conduct violence against Jewish and Israeli communities and their supporters. Foreign terrorist organizations also may try to exploit narratives related to the conflict to inspire attacks in the United States. The FBI and DHS therefore urge the public to remain vigilant and to report any threats of violence or suspicious activity to law enforcement. Okay, so there is some real issues going on right now. There's some real concern. I mean, the FBI just put this out. Like, there's some real concern that there could be there could be some real dangerous attacks against Jewish people. Now, we had talked about this in one of my group chats within the ministry on the Way International, which is the ministry that I'm affiliated with. And we had talked about this, and we had a conversation about fear. Like, how do we go about this? Like, what does it even mean to be afraid, and should we be afraid in this time? Now, I say we as in Jewish people. Now, I'm not Jewish, at least as far as I know, but a lot of Jews in my group were feeling concerned, as they should. And we had a conversation about how do we go about this? Do we stop being, and I say we because I do consider myself part of the Commonwealth of Israel as a Gentile. Like, what do we do in this situation? And so I thought it'll be worthwhile to talk about explaining how we go about this. I think the first thing we have to identify is, what does fear mean? Now, fear means definitionally a feeling of uneasiness in relation to a belief. So, is an emotion caused by the thing that you believe? So, if you actually listen to that, you actually find out that belief and fear are very synonymous with each other. If you are afraid, it has to do with something that you believe. Okay, so then do we get rid of all fear? Well, not exactly. It depends on the situation. So, if I'm on the ledge of the Grand Canyon and I'm trying to get across this ledge and I only have maybe like a foot of space, I'm pressed against the wall. If I am I afraid that if I step over that ledge that there's a great possibility that I could die? Yeah. Like that's a reasonable thing to be afraid of. I fear that if I cross a certain boundary line, there could be damage. That's rational. Like there's things that you should be afraid of. But there is then the ultimate encompassing idea of fear of like what do I think is going to happen? What do I think about myself and the things that I can do? What do I think about how our God is going to operate in the situation? And those are things that are worth having conversation about. Are we afraid that God isn't going to use these situations? And so I hear this, and my first instinct is, okay, do we see this with fleshly human eyes? Understandably so. But what do we put our trust in? And I go back to the scripture that says, I believe that God is going to do all things for good for those who love him. Do I understand how that's gonna be? How do I understand how that's gonna turn out now? No. God has used very painful situations on repeat to get our attention, to use them to open our eyes and our ears. And that's essentially the question of like one of the questions is often asked is why does God allow pain and suffering? So I think that when we hear that, it's like, well, you allow it. Like if when people talk about God allows pain and suffering, it's very it's very one dimensional. Like they think that human beings aren't responsible for their own pain and suffering. So if I tell my child, I don't have children, but if I told my child, hey, if you touch that hot stove, you're gonna burn yourself. And then my child still wants to touch that hot burner anyways. Is it right for the child to be upset with me that I allowed that child to burn their hand? Should I handcuff them? Is that the way that we don't allow someone to endure pain and suffering? God gives us the answers. God gives us resources, and He has given us the freedom to choose them. So if we do things and it hurts ourselves when God gave us the resources to understand how can we make our lives better, that's not God just allowing it's not God's responsibility in the sense of you experience pain because of him. You experience pain because of your own lack of conscience. So what I thought about was, okay, it's getting interesting now. Like the FBI is now telling us that we have to be us or Jews. We have to start being careful, and there are some serious threats and some serious groups that want to manipulate the situation and hurt Jewish people. What do we do? We gotta focus on what's in front of us. Number one, you got to focus on what's in front of you. Focus on what you can do. Number two, are Jews doing their part as the light of the world, salt of the earth, and our Gentiles coming in and acting in ways Torah observantly to make Jews jealous, like Paul says. In this time, I want to encourage you. You should really dig deep into yourself and ask yourself, what am I here to do? What do I have in front of me? How can I make the little tiny piece of this world into a beautiful garden? How do I build that up in a way that makes the entire world maybe a better place? So anyways, that's what I got for you guys today. If you please consider to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much.